good evening. One more game to go here for the Overwatch Open. It's our second week and it's our first day of two. Tomorrow we'll have the semis and the grand final. Another team will have secured their spot in the playoffs, of course, for that grand prize. They're all battling for 300,000 big ones. It's dollars, just to specify. Of course, it's probably a good idea. It's not in Great British pounds considering what we've just done. And I'm joined by two North Americans who have no idea with current affairs in England. I'm assuming ZP and Josh.
Oh, we know all about the
we
currency.
We know. We know all about it.
I was just at the airport yesterday exchanging my US dollars for London funny bucks.
Were you pleasantly surprised?
No, I did my research. I knew this was coming. I was pretty happy to be here at one of the best times for us to actually be here.
Yeah. There's been a spike in tourism. There you go. That's your fun fact of the day.
Yeah.
You just got to put the positive spin on it.
That's how I live my life. The glass is no, it's actually usually half empty. Moving though away from my sad life and into some Overwatch, we have an intriguing matchup between LG and SODIPOP. Now LG, a team everyone will be familiar with. Currently, the stats suggest they are number 4 in North America. Do you guys agree with that sentiment, ZP, if you had to kind of plot them somewhere on the graph?
LG, I mean, they've had periods where they've been really, really good in North America. Probably one of their high points was taking out C9 in the Josh OG Invitational way back when. But, of course, they've had ups and downs since then. They've had roster changes. In fact, just to give you guys an update on roster that has changed here is that Indust, from the looks of it, is no longer with LG, or at the very least is not with them here today. That role is being filled by Dummy. So Dummy was formerly on Team Liquid in a DPS tank role.
Right.
Now he's switched to LG in a support role, and it's sort of a blast from the past because you go way back when to sort of the roots of LG. This isn't the first time Dummy has played with Seagull and Enigma. It goes all the way back to the not Enigma days. So he's familiar with this group.
He's familiar with the group, whether he'll function well within it. Do you think that isn't like we've lost? Was it Indust, right? Indust wasn't he described as a Mercy main?
He was basically the Mercy main at a time where Mercy was being used all the time. So before this recent Zen patch.
Perhaps there's a bit of a correlation there.
Could be.
We'll see. And of course, they're going up against SODIPOP. Now, it's Josh. I need to ask you: is it safe to describe this as a underdog story with SODIPOP and LG?
For SODIPOP, they are a team that you see reach these round of 8s quite often. Very rarely reaching round of 4. So Luminosity is going to be a big challenge for them, I have to say.
So doubt, definitely, a seed of doubt has been planted. But previously we had doubt in Liquid, and look how far they have gone. Of course, Liquid securing the spot tomorrow. You're seeing Team Liquid in the semi-finals. Who will join them is a different question. There is other halves of the bracket being played out. But right now it's time for our final best of 3 of our Saturday. It's going to be an enjoyable affair between two North American giants, LG and SODIPOP. ZP and Josh, take it away.
I will say this, starting out Dorado is going to be very fortunate here for LG. When you look at LG, their good maps and their bad maps, historically you would say that maybe their Gibraltar game isn't quite on point, but their Dorado game has usually been very on point. It's one of their stronger maps. It's a map they go to in times of need, but they get to start out here on Dorado, and that should be interesting. And Josh, what are you seeing right now for the SODIPOP defense?
SODIPOP defense looks like McCree Reaper, very popular. Once again, we've got Jer and Hype on the supports, Lucio and Zen respectively, and Hyped as the Junkrat, Nomi on Reinhardt. So one tank setup, Hyped and Hype both notably playing for SODIPOP. Can be a little bit confusing. Just remember one of them is always a support, basically. That's going to be Hype. Hyped as the Junkrat right now very often will be the second tank player for this team.
Interesting bit of trivia. There was a point where Hype was actually trying out for that LG support role that went to Indust and now went to Dummies. So there's been a lot of turnover in that role, but we are getting started here. LG offense now looking for their moment of opportunity. Of course, Dorado is a map where the offense doesn't usually blitz right in. They will wait, they'll poke, and go in when they feel they have that chance, and that looks to be right now. They are starting to move right in. Hype, though, takes out Dummy in the back, so Dummy first to fall here for LG. It's going to be rough to do this on Zen, and I wonder if LG is going to commit to this or just back out a little bit, because if they go in 5v6, it might not be the best look, and they are going to be backing out, Joshy.
Yeah, the attacking squad here, obviously Seagull is going to be starting out on this Genji. That's a great move for this opening salvo on Dorado, I'll say, just because the flanking opportunity, you basically have to flank. This choke is basically unbreakable if you can't get just past that front line and start to do damage in the back line. So Seagull is going to be looking to get some nice dashes over the heads, or at least around the sides of the defenders here. Tossing 3 stars at once at the Reinhardt shield, of course, is a great way to try and break that down as fast as possible, allow your teammates to get in some help as well. Enigma on that Diva, not really doing any flanking, doesn't need to. Everyone is pushing the payload very solidly here, and SODIPOP is just kind of scattering.
This has been interesting. Despite getting that first pick that SODIPOP did, they didn't really capitalize on. LG, they held their positioning. They only backed up a little bit, went right back in, had superior poke, and I think they took that with all of 1 to 2 kills there, so that was very smart gameplay coming up by LG and just a little bit better on the poke side. It's weird to see the first point taken with so little bloodshed.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think because we did switch to Seagull, we were able to see him just 3-starring into the Reinhardt shield. When they lost their first player, they must have just thought, let's just keep laying into him. They're not actually coming at us, so we might as well just play passively and dish out as much damage as we can. Once Reinhardt's shield was busted, Enigma just hopped on the payload and started blasting whatever was in sight, and it worked out. So Grim Reality up here on the high ground does have Deadeye available. It's going to be difficult to try and get something good with both Reinhardt and D.Va still standing at the front of that payload, so we'll see how patient Grim Reality is going to be with that. Look at the side of Luminosity, though. 6 ults available. If and when this engagement happens, Luminosity is going to be favored either way.
LG is ready to explode right now. Everything is in their favor when it comes to ults. Sound Barrier going to be opening here by the defense. LG can back up a bit. They haven't killed anyone off that Sound Barrier. Now LG, their turn the pounce is going to be here in just one. They did Sound Barrier themselves
Both sides,
in the middle of that, so like they're not going to get as big of an advantage. Hype, though, takes out God, so now they're down to big DPS. I think Seagull was looking for the opportunity in Dragon Blade, but losing Gods like that and the Sound Barriers canceling out just might make them hold back a little bit. They're still saying a very good time, though, with a big focus on the payload.
Yeah, good job there from SODIPOP's Jer to pop the Sound Barrier as soon as he heard the enemies. It was able to keep everyone alive, and that's really all you can hope for on defense. They're not really driving a stake into the offense or anything like that. They're really putting up a very passive defense, I gotta say, not even jumping down off the high ground at those typical spots.
This has been one of the most bloodless games that we've seen. Seagull, though, does get the high pick, and what an Earth Shatter from Milo. Knocks down 2. The counter Earth Shatter comes in from Nomi. Does negate that a little bit. Here comes Grim Reality on the Deadeye. Doesn't get a whole lot. Grim Reality, of course, a great McCree player. Looking to see more from him. Seagull has to put away the Dragon Blade. Milo and Gods are going to clean up. They get the Lucio in the back. 3 kills now from LG. Nothing too crazy or flashy here, but Gods will continue piling on. Makes it a 3-kill in the end, and LG will get to the checkpoint.
Yeah, great stuff from LG. Honestly, SODIPOP, they just look like they're scattering too much. They're not... I mean, LG is not exactly a death ball or anything. They are, of course, using their flanking Genji to great effect and their D.Va to be in the right positions, but they didn't drop down as a team on the payload during Church phase. They don't really seem to be very coordinated at the moment, just trying to get everybody up to that Reinhardt shield. Reinhardt shield could be broken by the time these supports even come back to the fray.
Enigma right now will be looking here for the D.Va ult in just a moment. Needs a bit of momentum here with LG. Ultimate's sort of on the low side. Agility's here does have a great opportunity for a Death Blossom. He's looking for his opportunity to just drop down and hit Q. LG hasn't given him quite what he's looking for just yet. D.Va could really mitigate, but he's still going to go in anyways. Takes out Seagull immediately. Not going to get much more than that. Defense has Sound Barrier, though, out supporting him. 2 kills for Agility's here thus far. LG still fighting and trying to turn it back with their Enigma did take out Grim Reality. It's a big pick there as both teams fight now. Transcendence being blown here by the defense. And if the defense does win this, Josh, which is looking like they will, they still used a lot of ultimates for this defense.
Yeah, it's interesting that they are starting to bleed the clock a little bit for the defense. Essentially, LG is not going to set that blazing fast time that we could have seen if they had just gotten a little bit further. So kudos at least to SODIPOP for being able to get a handle on this payload finally. Seagull comes in and does actually get the kill on Grim Reality. The dash reset allows them to close the gap on Zenyatta. Popping the Dragon Blade is just an easy follow-up after that, and they are just falling like flies now. Not just to Genji, but the rest of the LG squad just moving forward easily as well.
Seagull, that was a great 4K coming up for him. He absolutely cleaned up in the back, and that's it. It was Seagull opening the door at the very end, and it allows him to set a pretty darn fast time. I believe that is a sub 6-minute time being set here on Dorado, about, I think, about 5:15-ish. Yeah. And I don't know, to me, I'm just a little bit flabbergasted because that was a very strange game of Overwatch. Usually Overwatch is defined by a lot of teams crashing into each other, big team fights, big casualties on both sides. And you didn't really see that for about the first 1.5 points there. I mean, how LG took that first point with almost just a lack of bloodshed. It was just the most pacifist, really quick attack I think I've ever seen in Overwatch. I'm still just trying to wrap my head around it.
Honestly, yeah, just Nomi losing his shield just seemed to be the entire catalyst for everything, and after that, they showed no signs of slowing down. I think, honestly, the most puzzling thing to me is why the defense couldn't get a handle on the Church phase. They only really ever lost like 1 player at a time. They never really made that stand that you see early as it's passing the Church or at the underpass. They kind of just let it cruise right through. So I would have to, just get a better glance basically at that stretch of the game and really look at what SODIPOP did to allow LG to just fly through there, because that was probably the most brutal phase. They had a nice stop there at the end in the last phase, but that was a really quick time.
I feel like it's less what they did and more what they didn't do. I mean, I just feel like they weren't very aggressive, and they did give up a few picks early on in fights, and they just felt like, oh, we lost one, we got to back up. And they weren't poking efficiently. Certainly, LG was getting the much better of the poke war between the two teams, which is why SODIPOP found themselves backing up so often. But for it to go down that way was just a little strange. But either way, looking here at the defense coming out from LG, fans of Junkrat rejoice. Seagull will be playing Junkrat here. Dummy on the Zenyatta, Pooks on the Lucio, Milo on Reinhardt, Enigma on Roadhog, and Gods on Reaper. And I really like this coming out for Enigma, where he played a really good Roadhog before the most recent patch where Zen got buffed. And I still think Roadhog is good in the right circumstances. People
Apparently,
got rid of him too early.
Harblu's doing well with him.
Yeah, and Harblu did well in the right last series, correct. So should be a joy watching Enigma here on defensive Roadhog if he plays it like we know he can.
And Seagull going to be using the opposite of the flanking Genji. This time around it is going to be the entrenched Junkrat, trying to break down that Reinhardt shield as fast as possible, lob concussive mines just to throw them off kilter, all that fun stuff that Junkrat gets to do. His kit is so unique, actually. Enigma taking a lot of damage there, but actually does back off and manages to get it back up to full with his gas. Jer taking a little bit of damage. Looks like the offense slowly trying to push here. Still not contested, but not really pushing either. They're kind of keeping their distance from the payload, as this is Seagull's best chance to basically spam grenades at them.
This position here for Junkrat is very well protected. Junkrat can sit in there, and then if you go after him, he can just back up and throw bombs at you and traps in a very easy to hit manner. So it's always tough to get Junkrat out of there. Of course, he does move up a little bit forward, looking to keep the pressure on SODIPOP as they try and go in from the stairs. And he's going to pick off agilities from long range. Just the Junkrat spam finding his target, gets the one pickup they need, and that's really going to delay this offense of SODIPOP.
Yeah, the bomb spam from Junkrat can be deadly. Just turn a corner and suddenly you're 120 health less, and that can be pretty brutal if you're taking any kind of sustained fire from the rest of the team. There you see another mine being thrown out by Seagull. Does actually change their orientation a little bit. Hype actually dies in the process to Dummy. What do you think about Dummy on that last round as the Zen? Nothing really, he didn't really have to do that much.
He didn't, I mean, it started out bad where he got picked off at the beginning, which I don't know what the reaction was to that, but given the reaction to LG and supports, people are very sensitive to them dying. But, I mean, aside from that, it didn't seem too bad for Dummy, but in general, SODIPOP gave up a lot of poke to begin with. But offense right now taking their opportunity. They're moving in with the sound barrier. They're going to throw all cards on the table here. Should be seeing a Dragon Blade soon. Dragon Blade on the way out. Throws a Junkrat Tire, though. Junkrat Tire takes out Agilities. A moving Tire beating the Dragon Blade. We'll see if this can hold up, but right now LG doing a great job of weathering the storm of ultimates from SODIPOP. It's not over yet. Nomi does take out Gods. Enigma goes down, and slowly but surely they're starting to bleed the DPS. Seagull, the last main DPS up here. His friends are dying all around him, and as good as Junkrat is, I don't think that this is the miracle that Seagull is going to be able to pull. We'll see.
It would be actually incredible if we saw something like that. Seagull does just feed himself into the grinder when he realizes this is a futile effort. He's going to rejoin his teammates there in the spawn room, but they will get the checkpoint. That time to beat, though, already trickling down. It's about 1.5 minutes already bled off the clock. So this phase has to be as fast as Luminosity did it, or they're going to be struggling on the last point.
Yeah, there's not actually that much time left here for SODIPOP in general. I would say that if they get wiped once, certainly twice here, that is going to be the end of this map and a definitive LG pick. And look at Gods right now. Gods does have Death Blossom at the ready. He is going to be able to drop right down. Of course, he's pretty good at doing that. We've seen him do it in the past, and he's just waiting for the go-ahead. He's going to run right past Nomi's shield and Death Blossom if he sees that opportunity.
I wonder if they realize that the team is split here. There's 4 on the payload and 2 actually flanking around through the church. I wonder how that's going to play out. But Gods gets the leaping Death Blossom. So good there. Combining with Seagull there for a couple of kills. Actually, 2, 3, and 4 now. Hype and Jer both go down. And the 2 flankers, Grim Reality's up here on the ledge. This ledge is getting so much play, by the way. And Dorado now with Genji's and McCree's actually just tightrope walking across.
Here's Grim Reality. He is able to clean up Seagull towards the very end. So in terms of respawns, there will be a brief moment here where SODIPOP has a slight advantage as Seagull gets back into the fight. And we haven't talked too much about Grim Reality, although in part he hasn't gone off as much as you expect. When SODIPOP does well, they usually do well because Grim Reality is absolutely bringing the pain on McCree, one of the better McCree players you will see around. A big bright spot for SODIPOP. And they're going to be setting up here as they move in, trying to do something to deal with LG on the high ground. LG, though, they're about to have Transcendence up. Dragon Blade going to be up soon. They have a lot of tools to deal with this push-in.
Yeah, now that it's actually past the underpass, this is a tough spot for SODIPOP as the ultimates start to come out. You can see the beat drop on the side of SODIPOP, keeping everybody alive. Milo actually goes down on the side of the defense. Agility is getting focused down now here by Enigma's Soldier ult. Soldier coming back into play. Totally snuck that one past me. But look at this, Seagull with the blade out, gets a double kill, looking for 3. Is he going to find it? He at least got some damage in there.
Well, right now, it's kind of a brawl here on the fight. LG doing their best to delay Seagull still up, but a bigger attack from Milo. Knocks down 2. Seagull coming right in for the fall-through. Does not get a kill right away, but Hype now running away. No HP left, going to go down. Seagull does get the kill as Resays dashes right back into Agilities and just swooping in from the top. Takes him out with the melee and a little bit of support from Enigma. And LG going to hold on there. And now time-wise, we gotta be getting close to GG's being called here any moment. I do not believe that SODIPOP has enough time left to actually finish out this map.
Yeah, great stuff there from Seagull. There the
That
GGs
is.
come out. But that is going to be it for that map, Dorado. Pretty impressive stuff, actually, out of Luminosity. You know, we talked about Dummy basically replacing Indust. Seemed to work out fine for them on that round.
It worked out there, although it's one of those things where it's hard to say if Dummy had really good positioning at points or just SODIPOP wasn't applying enough pressure. I feel like there was times where SODIPOP was just tentative, and you saw it mostly on the defense, where on the defense they felt very sort of afraid to challenge LG directly, as evidenced by just how bloodless that first point cap was. So for SODIPOP, I mean, they do have some bright spots mechanically, but they clearly weren't able to put together an LG showing why they're one of the more veteran teams right now in the game.
And I think Luminosity, you know, when we were having a discussion earlier in the day, like who are we looking out for? Luminosity is in the discussion of the kind of tier 2, SODIPOP kind of in the round of 8 group. So I think One Shot is another team that, you know, kind of fits that same bill, and we saw them perform earlier today against Team Liquid. But Team Liquid moving into the semis now, Luminosity Gaming up 1-0. We are going to actually move into a small break now, but when we get back, Nepal is going to be our King of the Hill map for game number 2.